hit that
Welcome to Stories Behind the Stories. I'm your host, Linda Hughes, and I am so happy to have with me today two professional audiobook narrators, two of the best. This is our audiobook edition, and I have with me Andi, Arndt, and Steve Corona, both who are seasoned professionals. I hope they don't mind me calling them seasoned because they're not old. They're just very experienced and have and have narrated many different types of books in many different genres, including two of mine, which I feel so honored that I have those. And I think our listeners and viewers would be interested in knowing how this whole business of narrating a book happens. How does that get done? And so I'd like to start by letting them know a little bit about each of you. And if you don't mind, I know that you have both won some really incredible awards, the top of the top. And if you don't mind, you may not want to blow your own horn, but I want to know what awards you have won, along with a little bit about your work. So, Andi, let's start with you.
Okay, well, I've been in this business for about 16 years. And in 2017, I won two Audie Awards, one for romance and one for erotica,
Yeah.
under my pseudonym Elena Wolf. And then in 2018, I was inducted into the Audible Narrator Hall of Fame, which was mind-blowing. And we just inducted the second class this past April. And then a third Audie Award, I think in 2021 for Dirty Letters by Vi Keeland and Penelope Ward. And then the romance audiobook production company that I owned at the time, Lyric Audiobooks, which is now under the direction of Katie Robinson. She was the producer on Real, Hollywood Renaissance Book 1 by Kennedy Ryan. So, so three Audies as a narrator and one as a executive producer, and the Hall of Fame. So
That is absolutely incredible. And again, I just feel so honored that I had you narrate one of my books, and it just turned out fantastic. Steve, tell us a little bit about your experience.
Well, mine's gonna be a lot shorter. I I technically started in 2008 with my first handful of books. I really wish I kept going. So there's a little bit of a gap in my work history, but overall, I have about eight years in narration, and I have a SOVAS award for a book called One Bad Apple, which is a really fun kind of a Western version of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And that's what I've got so far. I hope to one day be like Andi and have all the awards, whole bookshelf full. But that's me for now.
And but I saw the one at a book signing, the one that you, I mean, that was a big, beautiful,
It is beautiful.
beautiful award. Yeah, so that's awesome. And Steve, you also have done some acting because I remember seeing a movie that you were in, and I was so excited. I know him. I know him. And so you've done acting along the way as well, right?
Yeah, film acting, theater, TV, voiceover, anything I can get my little acting hands on, I'll do it. Yeah.
Well, let's tell our viewers a little bit about how this whole business of narration works. Because I find it fascinating that right now we keep hearing about how audiobooks are more popular than ever. And I think a lot of people are maybe just discovering the convenience and the joy of being able to listen to a book while you're doing other things. You can be uh, going to work, you can be on a train, in a car, in an airplane, like I was. You can be working in the yard, working in the house. There are just so many times when you're doing something else and you could be listening, and then sometimes it's wonderful just to sit back and listen. And so audiobooks are becoming more and more popular all the time. And when we look at the records of sales, we know that to be true. And so I think more and more people may be interested in how this whole thing works. How do you end up putting together an audiobook? How do you end up being the narrator? And then where do you work? Where, Steve, it looks like you're in a studio. Maybe Andi, you are too. Do you go someplace like they do in the movies? With the big studio and all these people, and they're pushing buttons everywhere, and you got the big microphone hanging down. Or is it more intimate than that? How does that all come about?
Andy?
Uh, well, I mean, the the answer to where we work is most of the time in our home studios.
Hmm.
Um, Steve, I don't remember where you're located. I want to say the Southwest.
New Mexico. Yep.
Okay, okay. And I'm in West Michigan. And so it's unusual for me to work in an outside studio because there is Brilliance Publishing is just a little ways down the road from where I live, which is part of the reason why we chose to move to this region. It's because Brilliance started here years ago during the cassette era, and they still have studios there. But it's more cost effective for publishers if we work from our home studios. There was a transition time before I came on the scene where if you had a home studio, you could charge a home studio fee to acknowledge that you were saving them the cost of bringing in an engineer and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
That's not really a thing anymore. But I have recorded at Audible. I have recorded um, at studios in New York like CDM and John Marshall. And just like random studios that when you're traveling, like I had to find a studio in Melbourne, Australia when we were spending some time there. And so that was a whole experience. But my favorite studio that I ever got to record in is I don't remember the name of the studio complex, but it's built in an old Masonic hall in LA. And um, it's still a very famous music recording studio. So walking down the hall and seeing like, oh, Brian Setzer Orchestra recorded an album here. I recorded an audiobook in the studio where Fleetwood Mac recorded most of their Tusk album.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I was like, I'm breathing in Stevie Nicks Adams right now. It's so crazy.
That is awesome. Yeah, yeah. And so mostly in your house, or in your home studio, but wherever you need to go, it sounds like. Whatever
Mhm.
and whatever you have to do, no matter where they put you, you do it.
Yep.
And Steve, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, as we said, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm in New Mexico, and there's not a lot of professional studios out here. There are a handful, but not like the big publisher houses. I'd have to fly to one coast or the other to do that, which I'm happy to do, and I keep telling them, but they're like, no, that doesn't make sense anymore. Uh, so yeah, the majority of the books I've done here in my home studio. And I'm very grateful, actually, a friend of mine that I met on a film set, Eddie, he's a sound engineer. He helped me set up my home studio. He helped walk me through the acoustics, all the sound treatment, setting up, all the equipment, everything. So I'm thankful I had that at least to get me started. But yeah, mostly record at home.
That's really a change in the industry, isn't it? I think it used to not be that way because people in their homes didn't have all that equipment. I will tell you many years ago, you just reminded me, I hadn't thought of it in years, but I used to do training programs and I was invited to do a training for a few days at the Skywalker Ranch
Ooh.
with George Lucas and Lucasfilms. And you wouldn't believe, of course, they have everything there. It's like a Victorian village, and instead of staying in a room, I got a house, a Victorian house, and they told me it was where Harrison Ford and Ron Howard would stay when they were there. So I was running around trying to act like a normal person, and it was impossible. But the sound studio was built like a winery,
Oh.
and Grateful Dead was doing an album there while we were there. And I'm not even a Grateful Dead fan, but I couldn't believe that I was even there. I was in this place. But it was fascinating because the man who was taking us around was showing us all of the equipment they had and the engineer and all, how the whole thing worked. And it was fascinating and very complicated. So I find it interesting that today there's so much of that that you do yourselves in your home studios. Do you have favorite genres that you like to do, or is it fun to do a variety?
Yeah, variety is for, ver, it's interesting though, like having coached so many narrators who talk about the thing that they love to do the most, I'm stunned at how like each individual narrator thinks that of course their favorite genre is everyone's favorite genre. And so then I realized,
Writers
wait a
do
second.
that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like so clearly I need to be a little bit specific. And when I look at the types of stories that I love to tell, um, I like by and large, there are exceptions obviously. Um, when you put reality under not a microscope, but like when you really focus in on what is and why is it, and the
Hmm.
quiet, like struggling in a relationship or just trying to work something out that maybe is just within a family or within a home or within the quiet parts of life that are sort of the connective tissue of
Mm,
life. I really love that. And so I am
Mm.
not the grand sweeping epic with 500 characters, swashbuckling space empire kind of. That's just not what lights me up. I really like these little, why did this happen in this relationship? Like, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. And I will say, you narrated my novella, Lilac Island. And oh my goodness. And I want you both to know, and I know I've told you this before, but I want everyone to know that I listened to hundreds of voices, beautiful voices, wonderful voices, great narrators. But when I heard each one of you, I knew you were perfect for what I wanted to have done. And I did not know Andi because my book Lilac Island is set on Mackinac Island in Michigan. I did not know you were a Michigander. Did not know you'd gone to Mackinac Island for your honeymoon. And and so we got that all settled that you were going to do it. Before I learned any of that, you really were the perfect person. And so when you talk about the nuances of what's going on in this story, that's what you brought out so beautifully. And I did have different characters there. The Midwesterners, the New Yorker, the Oklahoma cowboy, Jamaicans. There, and you brought all that together so beautifully. And it's one of the things I like about the work of each of you is it's not just projecting a voice, but it's the emotion that goes with it and the understanding that goes with it. And just such a great job. So, Steve, what do you like to do?
Well, a lot of what Andy said, I love the emotional connection within the character dynamic, but also just whenever I get a chance to really dive deep into something human, some human experience, especially these days. It's very important, to bring our humanity to the work. So I love any opportunity I get to do that, which I loved about your book, Linda. Um, oh, that beautiful relationship between the father and son. Oh, that got me. It really resonated deeply. But I'm kind of opposite Andy also in that I love large casts of characters. I'm a character actor by
Why does that
training.
not surprise me? Yeah.
I don't know. So I kind of have like a running competition with myself of how many characters can I do in a book. I think my best so far is 95 in one book, speaking characters with like, I don't know, 28 accents, something like that. So I accept that as a challenge that for me is fun. A lot of people are like, whoa, that sounds crazy. Don't,
Yeah.
have fun with that. That's not for me. But for me, I love it. I love it. Give me all the characters.
Well, in Gold Mountain, that's exactly what you did. And I honestly wondered if anybody could pull it off because we had the guy from San Francisco and his son from San Francisco. There was Preacher who, I
I
don't know
love
what he
him.
was. He was crazy. But there were the children. There were four little children that you had
Mhm.
to do. And somehow you managed to make each child, male, female, and at different ages, you managed to make them each totally recognizable, which is one of the things I love about audiobooks is it's almost like my brain doesn't have to work too hard because I can just tell by the voice, if it's done well, by the voice who's talking. And I love that. There was also, let's see, we had a Russian, right? Oh God,
The
the
French
Tlingit
Canadian. Yeah.
native,
Hmm.
yeah, and a couple of prostitutes
Yeah.
stuck in there who were real characters. You just did a great job with all of those voices. And so this brings me to something I wanted to ask you that writers, us as writers, talk about a lot, and that is the fact that now AI voice narrations are readily available. And for people who have visual impairment, it's wonderful to have something out there, I think, that they can listen to so they can get the essence at least of a story. But one of the things we as writers talk about a great deal is that, Steve, you said you bring the humanity to the story, is that no matter what, there's no heart in an AI narration. It just isn't there. And they keep saying it'll get better, but there's no way it can get that good and as good as what you do when you bring that humanity and that heart to the story. And I'll tell you right now, AI narration drives me crazy. I know some people like it, but it drives me crazy uh, because it seems like they put in commas where they don't belong and take them out where they belong.
Don't get me started.
I know. And instead of something simple like, let's go to the store, it's let's go to the store. But what do you think about that? I wonder if you, as narrators, I doubt that you are, but I wonder if you are worried about AI or what you think about it. What are your thoughts?
I think that AI is for those of us who are established in what we do, and we had a chance to go through the starter phase of things, and we now are further along and have an established reputation as narrators.
Hmm.
I'm not as worried. I think the sad thing is those first books that Steve got to do, that I got to do, um, those newer narrators are now potentially competing cost wise with, well, I might as well just whatever,
Yeah.
because I don't hear mastery when I hear this narrator because they're still, they're still working. Like some of the best relationships that I have with authors are when we sort of knew each other when. Like there are a
Yeah.
couple of authors that I narrated their first audiobook of their first book that they wrote. And they're 30 books into their career now, and I've seen their writing evolve, and they've heard my narration evolve, and it's wonderful. um, I go back and listen to the first things that I did, and I just hear all of my, oh, if I could coach myself, I would tell myself, God, do this, this, and this. And so I just feel like it's unfortunate for people who want to get into it, in some ways,
Mhm.
but the fact that it's better if you're already an actor, and you're not like learning on the job, but you're already an actor and all you have to learn is the tech is still true. I think that's still true.
Hmm. Steve, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, agree. 100%. I I have a friend who just started narration a few months ago, and she's scared of all of this stuff, but at the same time, we went to college together. I acted on stage with her in plays, and I told her, listen, that alone will already give you a massive step up in the industry. You bring that acting experience, that background with you. She's very smart. She's learning super fast. She's probably at, like, her learning curve is ridiculous. She's probably learned in the first few months what most narrators learn in 2 or 3 years.
Mm.
It helps that she has me to bounce things off of, but she's already like negotiating contracts. She's not settling for low rates already. She's only like 5 books in, and she's like, well, I know what I'm worth. I know what the industry standard is worth. Um, she's learned her technology, how to edit and master herself very fast. And I've listened to her samples. I'm like, yeah, you're on the right track. So it's encouraging to see that not every newbie is necessarily competing with AI, but I totally hear what Andy's saying, and it's true. A lot of new narrators are like, well, why bother? I mean, they're just going to hire this virtual voice. If they're about at the same level, if you want to say that, as far as performance, what did you say, Andy? Experience level, right? Basically, as long as you've been doing it. So I'm not afraid of AI. Like with Andy. I think I've been doing it long enough. I have enough background in performance. I'm confident and comfortable in myself, and it helps. When you see yourself booked out for a while, you're like, okay, well, people still want to hire me, so that's good. For now, at least for the next, foreseeable however many months. So that makes me comforted personally. As far as the industry goes, I agree. I think the newer, more entry-level narrators have a little bit more to worry about. But I also think, like you said, I think it was Linda, the AI can never quite get there. No matter how good it gets, and I'm hearing some much better. You mentioned like the weird cadence and, off accenting and things. I still hear that in some of the lower quality AI, but even the best, it might sound like a person reading words off a page, but that's it. There's
Right,
nothing behind it. There's no connection. You listen long enough, you're like, "Ah, why am I even listening to this garbage?"
right.
So I'm not afraid. Let's put it that way.
And neither of you need to be afraid because you're just so excellent at what you do, Andy.
Well, it's AI has no sense of subtext,
Right.
and I don't know if you've seen the social media trend going around right now of people saying the same thing four different ways.
Hmm.
A little of me is worried because I'm like, is this a campaign that's designed to
Are
get
we
more
training?
are we
Yeah.
training? Is this training data?
Oh,
That's why I
I
haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Same way I didn't post pictures of me in the 90s.
Hmm.
It's all training data. So, but the fact remains that as I'm reading through a story, I'll get choked up or I'll have to stop myself from laughing um or I'll realize like something is like this very profound, moment and the pace is affected by that. And I
right.
think the listener can hear that in the delivery. If you just want information,
Hmm.
fine. But if
Hmm.
you're seeking a human story, and I'm not saying nonfiction or fiction, I'm saying, you know, a human story,
Hmm.
then I don't know. I just got a review of a triple biography that I did where they talked about the way I delivered the challenges that female journalists faced in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, the assumptions of what they couldn't do and stuff, and that I delivered it with a sense of wry delivery. Um, I don't think AI can do that because AI doesn't care.
Right. And
That
to that point,
is true.
also comedy and like timing, that's
Right.
something that they can't do. Yeah.
Right, right. And Andy, when you say they don't care, that is so true. Don't care and don't know. I mean, just, can't do any thinking in a way that would put things together. And you mentioned something about training, and so, by the way, I would love to see pictures of you in the 90s. But I think you're talking about on social media, it'll ask, to say this four different ways, and training is for AI. Then taking that and using it to train AI, and so we're just giving them our information or our photos or our voice or whatever it might be. And we want to be wary of that, as we need to be. Watch out for so many things on social media.
Mhm.
So, Steve, you also mentioned contracts. And I think
Mhm.
that most audiobook listeners would never think about that. How does this get made? All I know is this is a wonderful book and I love this voice and it touches my heart and it has meaning to me. But they may never think, and maybe they shouldn't have to think about it, but they may never realize all that you have to go through in
Mhm.
terms of handling a business. You don't just walk up to a microphone and read a book and have a good time, and then somebody sends you a big check, and that's the end of it.
That's exactly how it goes. What are you talking about?
Right?
It is. I don't know. It's not how it works for me as a writer. I know that. So that might be a surprise to audiobook listeners to know. Is there anything else you think they might be surprised to know, or anything about that? Just are there any things that they may have no concept of what's going on?
Well, for some of us, and this is probably not true for every narrator, but for some of us, especially full-time audiobook narrators,
Sure.
it is a lifestyle choice. It's a 24/7 deal because I changed what I eat. Um,
Ah,
I'm very careful about, yeah, this how I take care of my body, mind, voice, calendar. Um, it just impacts everything. And I also instituted a tradition that is percolating through narrator culture that is so happy, I'm so happy about, which is what I call family cake party, um, to try to reward your support system for the
oh,
times when they are quiet because you're in the same house and, you
yeah.
know, and I think that they should get some acknowledgement and reward for doing that. Otherwise, it's just mom or dad's job or is negative all the time. It's like, oh, shh, be quiet. Don't shut the microwave oven so hard it comes up through the floor or whatever. So when you hit a milestone of 100 books or 200 books, you know, bring home a cake, sparkling cider, champagne, whatever, and announce to your family, like, because you guys helped me, I hit 200 books or whatever, and we're having a family cake party because who doesn't like cake? So,
Oh, Andy, I love that tradition. That's really wonderful. Like my dogs right now are shut in the bedroom, and I don't know if you can hear them, but they're not happy right now because they have to be quiet. Steve, what about you?
Well, first, I got to say, Andy, I think I heard you say that a couple years ago, maybe on Clubhouse, about the celebration. And I thought that is great. I love that because you're right.
Yeah.
They do a great job of being quiet when they know I'm working because it comes through and it bleeds into my microphone. I'm like, I can't have that, guys. And so I thank them. And so for me, it's not every book, but especially like if I'm on a tight deadline and I'm like, guys, I'm sorry, I know it's Saturday and you got to be quiet. It's a bummer. And then I finish a book and I come out, I'm like, all right, let's do like family game night or let's put that movie on that we've been wanting to watch. So just a celebration and to say thank you guys for supporting me. And yeah, I want them to know that I don't always have to be cracking the whip. We can always, celebrate when we're done too. Um, but let's see what else. I was going to say something else and I forgot it. Remind me the question, Linda. I just wanted to let Andy know that she
Just if,
inspired me.
if audiobook listeners would be surprised at anything, and if there's
Oh,
anything else. Yeah.
also to piggyback off of Andy's answer, I've also changed a lot of things too. What I eat, as far as certain foods that might make you more phlegmy or whatever that are not good for narrating right after, or also the whole exercise regimen. I've been doing more yoga to help kind of open things up and help me breathe better. Yeah, there's a lot. Like she said, I don't think I could say it better. Lifestyle change for sure. Uh, There's a lot of things that we do as narrators that normal people don't, or maybe not to the extreme. I don't know.
And so something like getting a cold is really disastrous for you
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, so staying healthy is critical. I mean, it is for all of us, but it really is
Mm,
for your careers. You can't always just push through like other people could.
hmm
Well, tell our listeners and our viewers how to find your books, how to contact you, uh, or at least on social media or where are you at. How can they find you?
Steve, I'm going to let
Oh,
you go first. I
let
keep
me.
going
Okay.
first.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as going to your favorite audiobook platform, whether it's Audible, what are some of the other ones? Chirp, Kobo, Libro FM. Type in our names, and you should find our catalog of books there that you can listen to. Um, and as far as reaching out, yeah, I'm on Instagram, not as much these days. I'm old, so I'm on Facebook. Uh, let's see. I'm actually on TikTok a fair amount. I got on there because I thought I want to meet, readers, authors, people over there. So I'm on there somewhat. Yeah, just type in my name, look for my face. This guy. Uh, where else am I? Yeah, those are the main ones. Probably Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. But even that, I'm trying to scale back a little bit. I'm trying to meet people more in person than online. So that's how you can reach me, though.
And like I said, I saw you at a book signing, which was great. And by the way,
Yeah,
when you talk about having a party night, you were in charge at that signing at that big event of the game night, and you were
that was fun.
fantastic. It was the most fun I've had playing games in years. So you are very good at that. And then Andy, same kind of thing. If people wanted to
Um,
find you, find your book.
yeah, I think as my social media activity is sort of I'm sort of letting go of things and not replacing them with other things. You know,
Mhm.
like when I left Twitter, I was like, why do I have to replace it with anything? Why don't I just
Ah,
get reclaim my time?
good for
And I
you.
reclaimed my time.
Yeah.
So I deactivated Facebook. I tried TikTok for a hot minute. I didn't like it, so I got off that. So I'm pretty much sort of on Instagram, but trying to bridge over to just a newsletter from my website, which is andiarndt.com. If and there's a contact form there. If people want to reach out about projects, you
Okay.
can do that. Um, and if people want to do audiobook coaching, I have with Ron Butler, who's another fantastic narrator, we have a coaching community at narrator.life, which is the website. So
Excellent. And I am so jealous that you've gone off some of that social media. I want to, but and I'm afraid, but I really admire that. And Steve,
I just thought of two more things real quick. So you mentioned leaving X, Twitter, whatever. I left that years ago as well, but I did replace it with Threads. So I'm actually on there a fair amount on Threads. I find it a little bit more of a friendly text-based community. And also, if anyone wants to see me live, I'll be at Lit RPG Con here pretty soon in July. So
where's
that'll be a
that at?
great time to meet people in Denver, July 9th through 12th.
Okay, cool. And did you mention a website? Do you have one?
I do. I mean, people can go to it's under my LLC, so it's coronaproductions.org
Okay.
slash audiobooks, and you can find me there.
Okay. And in the description of this video, I will put all that in there so people will know where to find you. And I want to mention one more time that Andy, you did Lilac Island about, oh my goodness, so perfect to have you do that. And Steve, you did Gold Mountain,
beautiful
and you're
cover.
both fantastic. And I hope to work with you again sometime soon.
Yeah, would love it. And social media wise, we are all on Clubhouse
Yes,
That's
because that's
Clubhouse.
where I
Thank
met
you.
you.
That's
Yes,
right.
I know, I
Clubhouse.
know. And Steve, Andy, I don't know if you know this, but Steve, I heard Steve on Clubhouse, and it's a chat. In case anybody doesn't know, it's a chat app. And so I heard his voice. And he's perfect for this book. He's the one. I have to have him. But when I contacted him, he said, "Well, make sure I'm not the first person you've listened to. Listen to others." So I went and did my duty, due diligence. I
Hmm.
listened to a bunch of others, and I came back. So okay, I'm done. Now can I have you? Please, please don't make me listen to anymore. I'm so happy with it. So
I love
thank
that.
you so much for being with me today. I
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for
appreciate
inviting
it.
us.
Any final words?
Um, happy audiobook month. June is audiobook month.
Oh, I
So
didn't know that.
it is.
That's
So yeah.
great.
And support
Okay.
human authors and human voices.
Very good. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.